to Finding Calm in the Chaos. I am Denise Sith, and this is my podcast. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Denise Sith here with Finding Calm in the Chaos. Okay, so obviously you guys know I'm talking about topics that have touched me personally, and I had this moment the other day and I was like, dang. But it involved moms. Like, I struggle sometimes with, number one, being an older mom and working on medical issues like autoimmune. It's hard when you got a 7-year-old, right? And it's hard to keep up with him. And I'll be honest, I can't keep up with him. I just can't. So there comes a time where I just have to say, you know what? It's time for your screen time because, because mama needs time to herself. And I feel really guilty about that sometimes. Like, it's not his fault I have autoimmune. It's not his fault I had, this miracle at, 46. But why do I feel that way? And I started digging into it a little bit, and I sat there and started writing a list of things that we just feel so unworthy as moms sometimes, when in actuality, I think having those feelings of not being worthy to have these amazing, beautiful babies and in our life, and that we like made, and maybe we didn't, but somebody made them, right? And they're just so beautiful and innocent, and just they're filled with joy. And I mean, Peter is like one of the best kids you could ever have. He eats well. He's always happy. He's singing all the time. He just will, he just says stuff that's just, makes me, when they say things and you're like, oh, but no, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I thought to myself, why do I feel like I'm not worthy? Is this me? Why? And so, as I normally do now, started making a list of all of the things that I felt unworthy as a mom and possibly why. And then that kind of brought me off on a tangent, shocker. Um and kind of like turned it into, what are some things that as moms we can do to support each other, which led me right into mom shaming. And I think it's a topic here that needs to be discussed, right? So we're already worrying on a constant basis of being mom worthy. We always want to know if you're a real mom. I mean, not if you're not a real mom, but most moms, obviously you're a real mom if you have a kid. But when you're a mom, it is a real situation that you want to do everything you possibly can for them. And that will naturally create, are you doing enough? Am I doing too much? Is that way too much? Did I go overboard? Did I go underboard? Should I have done that today? Should I have not gotten them that? Am I getting them too much? Am I getting them enough? Are we doing stuff? Am I providing for him in a way that is going to benefit his future as a human being? I actually make sure that when I'm doing stuff with Peter, that I want to teach him how to be a good husband. I mean, not like in way, but I want him to have manners, and I want him to, I don't want somebody to be like, wow, your mother didn't teach you anything. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want that to happen. And so this leads into like, so I feel like the topics, the situation is connected. I think that already as moms, we are feeling constantly making sure we're doing enough, but still trying to take care of ourselves. But also the being able to get this community of moms. I feel that sometimes bullying gets thrown out a lot. So I'm just going to put that out there right now. So we live in a super hypersensitive community right now, and a lot of people toss around the word bully because their feelings were hurt. And sometimes it's just not a proper word for the situation, because criticism and constructive criticism are real to development, right? And growth. So you can't really get like, super hyper emotional about everything. So I tried to look at this super objectively, which I usually will, when it doesn't include me, right? Let's go. So, you know, mom shaming in itself is basically, so I had to break this down because I didn't like the bullying part of this. They just equate it with bullying. And it's basically criticism or unwanted advice, right? Making fun of, and then maybe even bullying. There are extreme cases of this. It's real. And it's basically an unsolicited judgment, right? When you break it down, mom shaming is unsolicited judgment. So they're basically, quote unquote opinions that burden already stretched out moms, right? We're all stressed. Okay. And so it could be totally come from a good place. I'm not people don't, well, when people don't, I do believe that a majority of times mom shaming was coming from a good place and it turned into something else. And we're going to talk about that because I feel that I've done this to someone and I'm mortified right now. Like it like clicked in right before he started recording this. I sent her a text message. I'm like, we need to like sit down and have coffee, alone, kids free, just for some one-on-one on time. And I'm telling you right now, I am going to bring up a situation with her that I have told her jokingly, because I joke like that all the time, but it could have been received in a way that I believe was mom shaming, and it was inappropriate for me to say it. And I want to make sure that it's not something that she's carrying, because I thought of it instantly when I was going through my list. So there's that. Because I love this mom. Anyway, so it happens when we do things differently. So obviously, as moms in a community, we don't all do things the same, because how freaking boring would that be? And it's unsolicited advice. And when we get unsolicited advice and you're already having issues with being mom worthy, what do you think's going to happen? I know what happens to me. Self-doubt creeps in. Creeps all up in there. Yeah. So when you start breaking it down, then you realize that there's way more to this on a social level that we really need to rein in, I think, as women. So, constructive advice winds up turning into basically destructive advice, because you never know what someone's walking through. You could be best friends with someone and you don't know their thoughts ever. You do not know their thoughts. And we know this because there are tons of people, celebrity, whatever it be, that appear happy. They're smiling. They're in interviews. They've just been to a party. They just talked to somebody. They were the life of the party. And the next day, they've committed something tragic like suicide. And that's because what we see and what is inside somebody are two different things. I've literally presented myself as being so pulled together in the past, and I was broken beyond broke inside, just barely hanging on. And nobody would ever know. I look back at pictures and people are like, oh my God, you look so great there. And it's literally one of the lowest points in my life ever. And I know this, and these people know this when they look at memories and whatnot on Facebook and all that, because we know what we were thinking inside. And that's the one thing that we need to, I really think, if we push forward with this kindness, in that we respect that we never are going to know somebody else's thoughts, their real, genuine, authentic thoughts. And we don't need to know them because they're not ours. All we can do is create an environment that creates a inclusion, and also creates discussion. Because just because, and I want to clarify here, I don't mean inclusion like we all need to think the same, as I am not a component of that at all. I am a component of inclusively having a conversation, everyone from any walk of life having a conversation, but still at the same time being able to be respectful and honoring someone else's truth. Because it ain't going to be yours. Why? Because they ain't you. Duh. So I looked up the statistic, which was really freaking scary. And it was basically, it was from 2021. 60% of moms, I guess, polled have been shamed, either intentionally or unintentionally. Holy poop. That's huge and really unacceptable. I mean, as women, we're dropping the ball on this one big time. Like, big time. Women are so threatened by each other because we're the movers and shakers of the world. Let's be honest, right? We make babies. We create life in our bodies, right? How miraculous is that in itself? We make them, we feed them from our bodies if you can, right? And if you don't want to, that's cool too. And then we care for them and put them out in the world, and we never stop worrying about them. We are magnificent creatures, but we're also highly competitive and opinionated. And that's got to stop. The biggest offenders, I could tell you from personal experience, family and friends. However, that also can be your partner, your spouse, in-laws, other parents, friends, peers, moms in social circles. And this is the biggest issue, that you don't even know. So you're in that mom group in your community and you ask a question about something, and then you open the floodgates to being ripped apart is what happens. And I've been in some mom groups that I've removed myself from because they are not only just unconstructive and non-community like, especially over the past 2-3 years, but they also are basically destructive and downright evil. It's really bad. And if you know, you know. But there are some mom groups online that nobody should be a part of because they're evil. They're judgmental. It's horrible what I've witnessed happening to women in those groups. And I could be no part of that. So I was like, peace out. And of course, trolls. Life doesn't exist in the current day without a troll. I'm like, whatevs, trolls. You never give them the time. Don't answer them. Don't even delete their comment. I just leave it there so all my friends can also comment how they're complete morons. But here's something that's surprising, but not surprising to me, having worked in the healthcare industry. Healthcare providers and childcare providers and teachers. And I kind of had experience with both of these, both healthcare provider and a teacher, which is funny because I'm a homeschooler, right? Which is why I'm a homeschooler. But shame topics. I mean, these are things that we don't think about. And this is crazy because, like I said, it's not enough that as moms, we're having to worry about all the things that we have to do and juggle. And that's all the stuff I mentioned about being mom worthy. That's just between you and your kid. Now add a second, third kid, fourth kid, fifth kid, sixth kid, seventh kid. You think I'm nuts, but I know somebody with 12 kids. Ah, 12 kids. So it I mean, I don't know them personally, but a friend of mine's sister has 12 kids. That's crazy to me. God bless that woman beyond belief, but she must be a complete, like, I don't know how she does it. Don't know. But these are things that we're dealing with, and we're adding all the additional kids. Now we're adding your husband, your wife, your spouse, your in laws, your parents, your families, your friends, work, church, the people at the store. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And now you thought you were just worried about whether or not you were worthy enough mom, but now you've got all of this social pressure and responsibility on top of that, and plus social media. Yeah, we're going to get started on that as well. But we're going to take a quick break again for our sponsor, and then we'll be right back. Today's episode of Finding Calm in the Chaos is sponsored by the Moon Loops Company. Moon Loops was created by a stay-at-home mom who has turned her lifelong journey with hair loss into a company that empowers others with fashionable and functional headbands. This boss mom has dealt with her fair share of hair loss. She was diagnosed with trichotillomania, the hair pulling disorder, at an early age. Later developed alopecia due to the hormone imbalance after and during both her pregnancies, and is currently battling postpartum and COVID hair loss. She created Moon Loops to bring confidence to women and children who need it. These headbands are luxuriously soft, stretchy without losing shape, fashionable and functional. They are non-slip and can be worn in 3 different ways. They're great for nurses, teachers, and women who just want to spice up their mom buns or sassy pixies. Follow Moon Loops on Instagram at moonloops.co to find out when the next headbands are going to drop. That's moonloops.co on Instagram, moonloops.co. And just for my listeners, and always to help small family businesses, you can get 10% off your first order using promo code THANKYOU. Again, that's 10% off all first orders with promo code THANKYOU.
One, two, three, four.
Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So we're talking about some serious stuff right now. So we're talking about being worthy as a mom, and how I just felt that the pressure that we have, that we put on ourselves to be worthy as moms, um kind of meshes and is goes hand in hand with mom shaming. And it's interesting because some of the topics that there was literally 3 pages of topics when I was looking through some behavioral science journals and stuff online, but like shame topics. So one of the basically like the top 6 are discipline, diet and nutrition, right? Sleeping, breast and bottle feeding. I don't even know why we're still talking about this as women. Child safety and child care. So it's interesting because I feel like those are the big boys right there. And most, most moms that are ashamed, it's basically just moms find those moms. I know I have had a couple instances of this where I feel like someone has shamed me, or was in a thing where I don't know if they, like, it was, I believe it was that I want to believe that 90% of the time it's unintentional. It was unintentional on my part in the situation that I was talking about earlier. But I, I think that shamed moms find zero value in unsolicited advice, because we didn't ask for it, right? The very basis of that is it's unsolicited. But what it does is it, so everyone has been involved in some form of worthiness, right? Whether we're victims ourselves, we're witnesses, which is a big deal. Because if you're witnessing mom shaming, you're allowing it to happen, right? This world that we live in where we're just not going to say nothing. It's okay to not say anything, but there also comes a time where we need to speak up for what is right. See, when Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, he had said on a little one of his little audio clips that I was watching on social media late, when it was within the last like maybe 2-3 weeks, he had said how, you know, people always ask him how they wish that more people were like him in the world because the world was so evil. And he said, I want to believe that there are more kindness. There is more kindness in the world than evil. Evil's just louder. So we need to get effing louder, right? Kindness needs to get louder. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I believe that 100%. So sometimes you do need to speak up in situations. I'll never be in a situation ever where I feel that someone's getting harmed, there's danger, or something is wrong, or there's a bullying situation that I will not speak up. Because that's just, I don't know, it's who I am. I will not tolerate that. And some of us have done it. There's this situation, I'll talk about it too. I feel nervous because she's asked me for the link to this, so she may or may not actually be listening to this at some point, but I guess I'll go with it. So, some, in addition to like, you know, just what shaming entires, it's just the unsolicited advice in general, right? We could take the shaming out. It just becomes shaming when it's unsolicited. And what's happening is you, whether it's a good place or a bad place, it puts moms in an uncomfortable position of defending their parenting decisions. That's pretty much it. When you look at it that way, then I think that there's a new perspective on this, that it's not about what you think. That's you, your truth and your family. And that's their truth and what they do for their family. So, like, I don't know, shut up. We need to just shut up. That includes me, not during the podcast, of course. But so, and this is, and what makes this a bigger problem with the worthiness issue for moms is social media. Oh my God, if I had $1, please, Lord Jesus, help us. These people with the perfect houses and the perfect, you know, whatever. And it's like, you do realize that a lot of these influencers, they film in certain areas of their home. And so it's kept that way intentionally. People want to see real. They don't want to see perfect because it creates a sense of this achievement that is unachievable. Your perfect kid with the perfect outfit. And I'm not saying like birthdays where you have a photographer come. I mean, there are people who post, I follow some of them, every freaking day. It's perfect. Every single one of their kids in their perfect mansion, in their, well, yeah, of course their house looks great. She's in like a $2.5 million home. She has cleaning staff, duh. She has assistants, virtual and actual, that are helping them. I mean, it is what it is. When you got a mom who's trying to do like, you know, a side gig, I hate to use hustle because mom hustle, I think, is just turning into this whole evil thing itself and putting an expectation on us again. But, you know, when moms are trying to do side gigs and run businesses on the side to make extra income and all of this, it's like you feel obliged to have to do all of this perfect stuff or you can't do it. Just do it. I mean, for crying out loud, I opened a cereal box and folded it like in a fold instead of with the flap, in literally a house dress, no makeup. And I did it in like 1.47 seconds and got like 14 million views. People don't want to see perfect. That's for lounging. Oh, that's pretty. Like, vacation destinations, you're looking at all the pictures of the hotel and the resort. But that's not how it really is when you get there. Those are staged for a reason. It's beautiful, but you make it what you need it to be when you get there. So, this illusion that social media creates this fabricated world that simply just doesn't exist for moms. It doesn't. They have crappy days too, but they have makeup people, they have people who come, they have assistants, you know. It's just we just need to stop with the comparisons, but social media and TV and Hollywood in general is just really just they like to hammer that in on us. And so one of the situation I'll talk about the situation with me is that one of the situations that I was in was I have a mom in our co-op family who I love. I absolutely adore her. And Peter loves her kids, and they're similar ages, and they just get along. My husband likes her husband. It just works. They've been to our house. It's great. And a few times we'd love to do stuff with them, okay, as much as we can. It's hard to do stuff with people nowadays, right? Um, so we've had them to our house a couple times, and Pete's been to their house for some play dates a couple times, and she had mentioned we were talking about scouts. I think her husband was interested in scouts. I told him to contact my husband, blah blah blah, and she had made a statement that how far away is that? And I'm like, oh, it's just like 30 minutes from your house, maybe. Like I don't know, like 30 minutes. And she had made the comment that that's like a little too far. We like to rein it in around like 15, 20 minutes max. And I remember joking and being like, well, you know what? Like in life, you got to drive a little bit further on occasion. And, that seems crazy. But now that I'm looking back at it, I feel real bad I said it because maybe there's a reason why. Maybe they don't like to drive. Maybe they have fear of being in the car because of an old accident and they don't like to drive further than that. Maybe it's because the kids don't like to comfortably drive that far. It first off, the maybe it doesn't even matter what it is. What it is that is the parenting decision that they've made. And here I made this off-cut remark, and not once did I make it, but twice because I know I said it on another occasion. And I meant no bad feeling whatsoever, but I'm sorry. I'm going to call my ass out on this stuff too. That I questioned her parental decision that they made. And that's mom shaming. And that's BS on my part. So I actually did actually text her so that we can get together for coffee because I do want to apologize to her in person. Even if she listens to this first and we don't get together in time, I'm sorry. And I'm going to have coffee with you anyway and pick it up and tell you that I'm sorry in person because I don't want to be that mom. There's that. And you don't have to be upset about it. I don't have to worry about like whatever. And you know what? It doesn't matter how she receives it. She could blow it off. She could be saying, yeah, that really upset me. That's why I don't call you as much. It's like, whatever it is, it's not my business because that's emotion. I need to accept what her answer is no matter what. And all I could do is give her an apology that I did not have that intention to do that. And it's probably coming out of left field only because I was doing this podcast at the time and it brought it up in my mind. But, that's how it is. And yet another situation I've had where I've intentionally tried to do the opposite of mom shaming is I was at a mall, when everybody was still doing shit on a regular basis. And I had just had Peter, and I would say we were about 9 months in, and I could only breastfeed for 7 months. Now, let me preface this with, again, one of the topics is breast bottle feeding. And it was a miracle that I could have Peter. It was a double miracle that I could even breastfeed him for 7 months because I had had surgery on my breasts. So I shouldn't have been able to breastfeed. But by another miracle, I was able to do that for a blessed 7 months. So I remember how hard it was. And I just got one kid, right? And I wasn't working outside of the house. So, hello. Like, could I have any more blessings? And I remember being at a big store locally here in Illinois, is a Nordstrom's. And so I was in Nordstrom's and they have these great bathrooms. I always park there at the mall so I know where the hell I'm coming in and out. And they have great bathrooms with like the lounge, the floor to ceiling doors that are actual doors and not, it's a nice store. So I go into the bathroom to use the restroom and I'm coming out and I notice that there's a mom just sitting there by herself and she's pumping. And she literally is just crying. Like she's just, I'm looking at her, my heart broke. And I have no idea who she is, but I walked right up to her and I knelt down because she was sitting down. So I didn't want to be like standing over her because that's awkward. And I said, I just want you to know you're doing an awesome job for your kids. How amazing that you're sitting in here. I don't know what's going on with you right now, but if there's anything I could do for you, like run and get you a coffee or Starbucks, like you want a refresher or something, let me know and I will get that for you right now. Like you want a piece of chocolate while I'm there. And she was like, she was so taken aback that I would even say that, but I totally meant it. And she was like, I'm just really having a hard time with breastfeeding and I'm trying to do the best I can. And she worked at Nordstrom, so she was trying to pump. And it's like, that's hard. She's in the freaking restroom. That's another thing, right? We don't make things available to moms to breastfeed. It's hard to breastfeed. It is easy as you progress through it for some women, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes women just don't want to do that. And that's okay because it's, everyone likes to throw this around. My body, my choice. Unless it involves something they disagree with, and then you got to do what everybody does. I don't, another topic. And it's like, stop. So she didn't want anything, and I told her that I would pray for her, and I thought she, that her, whoever her kid is or whatever is very lucky to have her as a mom, and that, know that she's doing the right thing and to stay in there. That there are other moms rooting for her. And she was like literally smiling and laughing by the time I, was out of that bathroom, entertaining her basically. But then it was a day that I'll never forget because I thought, you know what? She really needed that right then. And a lot of times I've actually seen people who have shamed moms at the park for breastfeeding. I've literally witnessed this where a mom was breastfeeding at a park. She was literally off to the side a little bit watching her other kids, and she had a baby and she was covered, which I was like, okay, for me, I don't think you need to be covered to breastfeed. I'm going to just lay that out. If you disagree with me, that's awesome, but whatevs. They're here for a reason. They're here to create food and sustenance for babies. I don't need to hide them. I also don't want you throwing it out all over. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it should be shamed and frowned upon in our society like it is. I just will never understand that. That you have people and women in Hollywood and models flaunting and half naked and everyone's like, she's so beautiful, I love her. And then all of a sudden, like, there's a mom trying to have like some lettuce at a restaurant with one hand while she's, got a baby in the other hand trying to feed one with three other kids at the table and a husband who's like eating his dinner in silence because he's a man. And then somebody at the restaurant will be like, I can't eat while she's doing that. Then don't look at her, man. Don't look at her. What? I just don't understand that. I lost my mind that day. My husband was like, Mr. Sith was like, please don't get up and say something. And I'm like, you don't know me at all, do you? So I actually got up in that situation because there was someone making a huge fuss about it. And I was just like, why don't you exchange where you're sitting and sit in another part of the restaurant where you're not purposely forcing yourself to stare at her? This way, maybe you won't make yourself sick. And then maybe I'm thinking to myself, you should check yourself before you wreck yourself. Just aged myself there. Because like boobs are for feeding. Boom. I said it. But there are some things that I think that I would do differently now when I talk, now that I've like sat down and really looked at how to do this. No mom's perfect. We need to listen to each other. We need to support each other, even if we think we have like all these sage suggestions, right? Because we know, or I have 6 kids, so I've done this, but it's not my kid. Like it's not your seventh kid, it's my kid. There's that. And there's ways I think that we can do positive, shame-free ways to offer moms like advice without having to cause all this stress, right? You want to make suggestions? That's great. Ask a mom how she's doing first, right? Because if she's falling short, she's going to ask for help. Let's be honest, right? She going to let you know. And if you're asking her how she's doing, you're genuinely creating a bond and a conversation before you start preaching, right? And then if she asks for suggestions, give her suggestions. Don't make it a sermon. That's me. I got to learn when to shut the hell up. That's why I'm podcasting people. It has helped substantially because I've lived such a full, I've done more in my lifetime than some people could do in 4. You know what I'm saying? So I'm blessed by that, but it's also a curse because like you need to learn to like just shut your trap, Denise. Shut it. And I'm working on that. And be positive, right? Because here again, social media, texting, nobody taking phone calls from each other, nobody actually having human interactions because we have to hold our damn phones everywhere we are. Tone and demeanor can totally direct the way a conversation goes. So if you come from a place of concern instead of Miss Judgy Judge Pants, it's going to be received differently. Listen, I really am working on this because I'm a talker. Listen. But my friends, I hope my friends know that I am a talker and I do want to know how they are. And I have made a personal decision to ask people how they're doing more and then shutting my trap and listening, right? Lend an ear. Let them cry. Let her know you're there when they need you, right? Not when you decide that it's time to dig in because you got to get it in so that you can like have this superiority thing over them. It just, you know what I mean? Because and no, like we talk about things differently. And one of the things we do is we're very judgmental when we talk to people now, again, because we've lost our personal connections with people. And it's very hard to understand that we need to see things from the mom's perspective and not our personal preferences, right? You could give ideas and options after she speaks, right? Help her navigate a new approach, right? Be honest, but not harsh. What else could we do? I mean, for me, I try to tell people when they're doing a good job now, right? Because she's going to appreciate your advice, the advice sooner or later, right? When things aren't going great, and you're telling her when she is doing a good job that she's doing a good job, then now you've formed basically a bond, and you're credible, right? You're not the attacker. A lot of moms are hard to approach because and it has to be a two-way street. You have to value the opinion and know that you're gonna love any advice that is being communicated between the two of you. I mean, there's so many things. My mind is just racing right now because, talking about the situation itself and not the mom's actions, this is for me I'm really working hard on this one as well. Because if we're talking about the situation and not the mom's actions, we're removing the personal behind it. There's no finger pointing, right? So, I was told that I had to buy all organic veggies for my kids. Do you do organic only? Or do you think it doesn't really matter? I've heard pros and cons. I'm confused. What you got for me, Denise? Because, um, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry right now because I'm pretty sure that Peter is screaming in the background and I'm recording a podcast. So there's that. Welcome to real life. Um, I think that there's just going to be a lot more reception because you've turned it into a discussion rather than, is that an apple that Johnny has? Like, is that organic? Because you're automatically, it's like a loaded question. Oh, are those Oreos? It's so passive aggressive. I've done that too because we don't do junk in my house. But I have to understand that a lot of people do. And if he wants to do that at their house, that's cool. But I have to understand that here, for my health and for his long term health, with all the garbage food and stuff that's out available, especially in the United States right now, I have to do what I have to do. But I also can't be judging other moms because we're also in a situation right now where food costs are skyrocketed, even for not organic food. It is not. I went the other day just to buy some items to make like a stir fry, and it cost like $90. That's insane. That's insane. And we're fortunate and blessed that we can have that right now. But it's just, I know moms are struggling right now trying to make stuff happen. And so sometimes if there's nothing if you see that there's nothing they could do about a particular situation, don't mention it unless you can help them. You know what I mean? If somebody's kid has to be placed in childcare all day because both parents work, right? Yeah. But unless you have a better situation, like you're a babysitter, stay out of it. I've literally seen people in my local moms group here post that they're looking for, childcare between certain times because, remote learning's going out the door. They're trying to get everybody back to work. And so people have to go back to work and they don't want to pay them to work at home anymore. I mean, can they pay them to work at home? Yeah, but that's like a whole nother argument, right? So this mom's trying to find health care and everyone's just like, well, what have you been doing all this time if your kid's 9 and, 7? None of your business. What do you mean, what has she been doing? Don't say stuff like that. I cringe at stuff that I'm rarely in the mommy groups unless I know like a friend posted in there and I can help them out. But if you see a mom struggling, give support, not side eye. Don't side eye to moms. It's just not cool. And there's so many mom cliques that it's like sometimes it's like being in freaking like mom high school. And we really just need to start pulling together as women because we make the world go round. And we are bringing life into this world and providing the future citizens of like basically Earth. So why are we fighting amongst ourselves? It's just ridiculous. And, I mean, for me, it's like, even if you're not sure what you want to say, or even if it's like factual, shut up. Save it. Be quiet. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. And just, with mom shaming in general, I'm going to wrap this up because this is like the hard part to talk about. How do you handle it when you see it? Because it hurts, especially if it's like your own parents or, I mean, you're shocked enough when it's people on social media, especially like strangers who like would never say it to you in purpose, in person. Those are trolls. Let that shit roll. It's not worth it. But it can cut you to the core. as a person. We know that your words can cut a woman to the core who's already struggling with being mom worthy. And you caught her on a wrong day, then like what are you doing, right? And a lot of people are just non-confrontational. It's not the way it is. So stop doing it. Oh, that's just going to happen everywhere, Denise. Why? Doesn't have to. If we just learn how to speak to each other. Well, you can't change everything. No, I can't, but I'm not going to stop doing it this way, because what I can do is talk about it like I am on this platform, and then somebody will listen to that. And if one person listens to this and tells one person who tells one person who's tell one person, guess I made a change, didn't I? I'm really, really not into I'm one person, I can't make a change. Stop that noise. That's ridiculous. It's not the way it is. Mom shaming is BS. You can do unto others how you want people to feel. And when we start looking at people as individuals again, moms are not superheroes. We're only human. We're all going to mess up many, 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 many times, right? And we need to look at the big picture and not nitpick other moms. And, we just need to root for other moms who are in a rut and promote just positivity in parenting and respect others' parenting choices. That's all I got for right now. So until next time, lead with kindness. Thank you, friends, for spending this time with me today. If you found some calm listening in, please take a moment to subscribe to Finding Calm in the Chaos. And just so you don't miss out on future episodes, make sure you're receiving notifications. Thanks again. Until next time, lead with kindness.